Hello, I am Sarah Gloss, and welcome to the premiere of A Bro's Guide to Glitter. This week, we'll be talking about the epic cinematic franchise, Mattel's Barbie movies. We'll talk about what makes these movies stand out from Disney princesses, why the nostalgia has carried over a decade later, and of course, the iconic memes. But first, I'd like you to meet a friend of mine and today's special guest. He and I met in high school doing theater, and now he's studying engineering in Boston. Please meet Trevor Chan.
Heyo.
Hey, Trevor. What type of engineering are you studying again?
I'm in electrical.
Oh, nice. So that's like circuits and like computers, yeah?
I think so, yeah. I'm just a sophomore, so I'm figuring it out as I go.
Nice. Well, and you're a sophomore, so like you could completely change at any moment.
That's true.
Where you are right now. So, you've already seen some of the Barbie movies. Tell our listeners how you got introduced to those.
Yeah, so I got into Barbie movies as a kid mainly because I was exposed to them with my sisters. Like I was pretty young at the time, so I was kind of like watching whatever they were watching, and so that's how I ended up like watching. I think the Swan Lake, Nutcracker, Mermaid one, and then the Fairy one.
Yeah. So, like, did your parents tell you? First off, how old are your sisters? How much older are your sisters than you?
My middleest sister is 2 years older than me, and my oldest sister is 4 years older than me.
Interesting. Yeah, my brother is 4 years younger than me, so that makes sense. But did your parents tell you that they were only for girls? Did you see them as like a girls thing, but you just watched anyway? Did you see them as like gender neutral?
I mean, there's definitely a kind of view of it as a girls thing, just because it feels like it's marketed like that. Like you see all this pink, and you're like, okay, that seems like it's for girls. But I was never like, my parents were never like, you shouldn't watch this. Like they were just kind of like, yeah, whatever. I was just watching with my sisters. Like, okay, it's movie time.
Yeah. And like you talk about them being marketed for girls with pink and glitter. Do you think that made you associate the things in the movie with girls, or do you think that came from somewhere else?
I think the association came from like before I watched the movies. Like there's I feel like even before watching the Barbie movies, there's already an association with Barbie as something very girly. Like I feel like it's probably one of the bigger like cultural icons for like young girly stuff.
Yeah. So did you like them at that age?
I mean, I never really like went out of my way to watch them or do that kind of like entertainment, but um, I remember like I loved watching them as a kid. They were always super funny, and my sisters and I would always like quote it.
Nice. So let's play a word association game. I'm going to put 15 seconds on the clock, and in those 15 seconds, you're going to say every word that comes into your mind when you think of Barbie movies. Go.
Pink dresses, a swan, cuckoo clock, green goo, bibble, Preminger, mines, princess, dance song, and plastic. Pink. I already said.
Ding, ding, ding. That's pretty well, you got the overall stuff, and you also got into the meat with Preminger and Bibble. I mean, we can just stop right at Preminger and Bibble, which is ironic considering they're two male characters who aren't even the main characters in this female franchise.
That's true. I do feel like they made the largest impact on me though. They're just iconic.
So, a little history for our listeners on the Barbie film franchise. In the 1990s, sales of Barbie dolls dipped dramatically. When the hypersexualized and sassy Bratz dolls came on the toy scene, all dolls got a bad rap, including Barbie. This is when Mattel created Lawyer Barbie and Dr. Barbie to launch the brand into a feminist sphere and appeal to career women. However, they soon realized the main way to target younger audiences was through mass media consumption. In 2001, Mattel released its first film of the franchise, Barbie in the Nutcracker. So, Trevor, the first 10 films, which is about, Barbie and the Nutcracker till Fairytopia Magic of the Rainbow. So, the third Fairytopia movie. How much money did you think the first 10 movies made?
Ooh, I feel like they probably made a lot.
Knowing that they were direct to DVD, so it's not, don't have to worry about box office numbers, just DVD sales.
I don't know, maybe like 5 million, just because how big the Barbie name I feel like is.
They made $700 million.
Holy shit! Okay,
Yeah, they sold 40 million DVD copies.
that's insane.
Yeah, and that's just with DVDs because think about the toy sales. Because even though it's the same characters in each movie, it's Barbie always plays the lead. So it's always a blonde white girl. And then she always has like the same friends. She has like the brunette best friend, then like the younger sister. It's the same characters over and over again. So it's the same plastic dolls being made in the factory, but each movie has different costumes. And so the little girls are going to watch the movies and go, oh, but I have to get the version of Barbie with this costume. I have to get her with that costume. And so after each new movie, they can just release new dolls with completely different outfits.
I did not know that. That's pretty smart.
Big cash time. So they have made 39 Barbie movies so far. But I compiled a list, and I've only seen the first 24. And so you said you watched Nutcracker, Swan Lake. Do you want me to read the list? And then I'll only name the first 20. Because I feel like 2001 to 2011, like the first decade is like the golden era. So I'll name the first 20 movies, and then let me know which ones you've watched, okay?
All right, yeah.
So every single movie on this list begins with Barbie in, or Barbie as, or Barbie of. So for the sake of time, let's just imagine that every title I say begins with Barbie in. So starting in 2001, you've got Nutcracker, Rapunzel, Swan Lake, Princess and the Pauper, Fairytopia, Magic of the Pegasus, Fairytopia Mermaidia, The Barbie Diaries, 12 Dancing Princesses, Fairytopia Magic of the Rainbow, Island Princess, Mariposa, Diamond Castle, A Christmas Carol, Thumbelina, Three Musketeers, Mermaid Tale, A Fashion Fairy Tale, A Fairy Secret, and Princess Charm School. And that's just the first 20, 2001 to 2011. Because since then, they've made 19 more movies.
Damn, Barbie's been going ham.
Which ones do you remember from that list, Trevor?
I think 5 of them. So that's Nutcracker, Swan Lake, Fairytopia, Mermaidia, and then
Princess and the Pauper. Did you ever see the third Fairytopia movie, Magic of the Rainbow?
I don't think I ever did.
That was like, it's not as classic as like the original Fairytopia and Fairytopia Mermaidia, but I like how they built on the world. And same with Mariposa and like the Mariposa sequel. The Mariposa are both like building off the Fairytopia world. And so those are fun to watch for that reason.
I like how they spend a lot of time like world building in the Barbie movies.
Yes, yes. And it is interesting how have you seen a fashion fairy tale?
I don't think so.
Okay, so the thing that really got me about a fashion fairy tale is so with Barbie and Nutcracker, Barbie as Rapunzel, Barbie's name in that is Rapunzel. Like she is Rapunzel, she's not Barbie. And the idea is that Barbie is her own actress playing Rapunzel. And same with Swan Lake. Barbie is an actress, is a CGI. It's implying there's a CGI world in which Barbie is an actress and she's playing Odette.
So is she like in a simulation or something, or is it like a production?
I I think the idea is that she's in her own world, but Rapunzel is, oh god. I'm being the theater major in me is like being jumped through like the dimensions of theatricality in this. So we've got our world, and then we've got this fictional character Barbie, and then this fictional character Barbie is playing this fictional character Rapunzel.
Okay, so she's like canonical. So are none of the stories like I guess real? Are in the world? Is it all productions played by Barbie?
So that's where it messes me. This is where it starts to get tricky because that's how the franchise started. Yes. Is all of these movies were presentations by Barbie. But then you've got the Barbie Diaries in 2006, which by the way, Barbie Diaries in 2006 not worth it in my opinion. Most people believe the same thing. The animation is like worse than all the other movies for some reason, but you get Barbie as like a real person in high school. And then in A Fashion Fairy Tale in 2010, the movie A Fashion Fairy Tale starts with Barbie on a film set playing the lead in Princess and the Pea. And then she gets fired.
Okay. Wait, did she get her job back then if there are other Barbie movies?
Eventually, yes. But like a fashion fairy tale, you could argue that a fashion fairy tale takes place in the same world as Barbie Diaries. But then there are further movies like Barbie and Her Sisters in a Ponytail, Barbie and Her Sisters in The Great Puppy Adventure, and we're not even mentioning the YouTube series Barbie Life in the Dream House, where it's just like, are we really going to pretend that like all of these movies in which Barbie is happening in the same universe?
So is there like a Barbie verse, or is it like a multiverse within the Barbie universe?
That's the thing. Is well, there's certainly a multiverse with like Fairytopia and Mariposa.
Okay.
Because all those fairy movies, they have been like very good at saying yes, this is a universe. But with like Barbie, it's almost like there is a multiverse.
I love that the writers like consciously made that decision.
Well, I'm not sure if decision you mean to like make the fairy movies a universe?
To just like create this canon where Barbie's an actress, and then they're just like, oh yeah, and here's a world where she's a fairy.
I know. Well, like it's interesting because it creates this argument. There's this idea with Marvel that the stars are the characters themselves. And of course, with Marvel now, Chris Evans is a star, Scarlett Johansson is a star, blah, blah, blah. But they didn't start as such big stars when they started those movies. They've become stars because of Marvel. But the reason that Marvel has gotten away with like casting actors who were somewhat unknown prior to the Marvel movies, obviously the side characters are always big. Natalie Portman, Gwyneth Paltrow, but Robert Downey Jr.'s big thing has been Iron Man. And the idea with that is that Iron Man is the bigger star. And so I think that it can be argued with making Barbie the lead actress in these movies. They can argue, well, Barbie is our star. And therefore, we can cast Kelly Sheridan as her voice actress, who people aren't buying this DVD to listen to Kelly Sheridan sing. People are buying this DVD to see Barbie sing.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So, a lot of these Barbie movies are princess movies, but they're very different from Disney princesses. So, what do you think makes them different?
I guess like probably one of the smaller things would just be like budget, just because the animation's a lot less, while Disney movies are like these big productions by Disney.
Yeah.
The vibe's always different. I don't know how to put it into words, but I think it's like semi campy, I guess. Like it's kind of like you're like, oh, it's like even when things are going rough, like when Preminger's boys kidnap someone, it's not like oh shit. There's like I'm I'm this is like super dangerous. It's like, oh, these are comedic relief characters that are like just shown some like goofing up, but they managed to be competent.
Yeah, that's true. Like, there's been multiple Barbie movie or Disney movies I've watched when I was younger where, like, I actually was scared of, like, the eels in The Little Mermaid, for example, but you're never scared with Barbie movies. Yeah. And then also, what I think about is a big thing is the presence of male characters. Because if you think about The Little Mermaid, I think that Eric probably has more lines in Little Mermaid than some of the male love interests in these Barbie movies. And then even with some other Disney princess movies, I'm thinking of Aladdin. Aladdin is named Aladdin after the male protagonist. And it's still considered a Disney princess movie just because there's a princess in it. And so you get a lot of these, let me think of another one. Naveen is big in The Princess and the Frog, though it's still called Princess and the Frog. Hans plays a big role. In some of the more like modern Disney movies especially, you still have guys playing big roles. And there really only seems to be one big female character who's young, and that's the princess. And if there's other female characters, they tend to be like a younger sister or like an old woman or a villainess. But in Barbie movies, it's always the male characters who take a backseat to the action. And you have multiple young, beautiful female protagonists who work together. And there's no sense of competition or conflict.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true, especially like because in the Disney movies, it feels like a lot of the times romance is like it's like the focus where it's like, oh, like these two characters getting together is the main conflict. While in Disney or not Disney, the Barbie movies, it's more focused on the actual like journey of the protagonist, and then like I feel like sometimes they have romance happen like at the end of Princess and the Pauper, it exists, but it's more like just an afterthought. It's like, oh yeah, and they end up with these people.
Yeah. It's the idea that romance is inevitable, and like romance is just like inevitable in so many like comedies and children's movies. But like in Disney movies, the inevitability of the romance often tends to play into like either or, male hands, female hands. And in my opinion, I think most movies, the inevitability of romance plays into male hands. But in Barbie movies, it seems to play into female hands. And then also, with the Barbie, you bring up romance in Barbie movies. It's funny how the men look. Because in the same way that they have Barbie play every role, to the point where every single lead is a blonde white woman, every single male love interest is like Plastic Man, obviously they're modeled after dolls, but they just always have the same bone structure, and they always seem to have like their hair growing from front to back and like slicked back like a New York businessman. And they just change the color of the hair and outfit for each movie.
I mean, makes sense. Maybe like for the doll making reasons, they can just like recycle that model.
True, true, true. So, what do you think separates the good movies from the bad movies?
Um, I think probably just like the main character, the protagonist, and like the journey slash like motivation they're on. Like I don't super remember Nutcracker, but I felt like it was just kind of like a journey, while more memorable ones would be like the Mermaid Tale, where they like she was literally like going on this journey fighting against these guys to like save her friends and like stop pollution basically. So that was pretty rad. Or like
That's true, they did stop pollution.
like or I think the most like compelling one was like Fairy Tale, where it's basically she's fighting to get this ability that everyone else has. And it was just really cool, kind of like seeing her struggle through that journey and eventually get what she wanted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely well said. So let's talk about the nostalgia. I don't know about you, but I've seen a lot of TikToks on my For You page recently of people talking about the Barbie movies, making videos of the Barbie movies, making the dresses. And I mean, obviously, everyone has their own For You page, but even talking to my other friends, they remember these movies. And Milena and I hung out like a couple weeks ago and we watched Barbie Three Musketeers because we wanted to. So why do you think people remember them so well?
I think there's like I said earlier, there's definitely something really compelling about a lot of these stories about just like these strong protagonists, and it's really cool getting to see their journeys. But there's also, I think, I personally I really like the comedy, especially like the comedic relief
Uh,
characters, like mentioned earlier, Bibble and Preminger, or even like the henchman of the Mr. Pollution guy from Mermaid Tale.
yeah.
They they're all just like it's like the funny bits that I remember watching and laughing um, with my sisters about.
That's a very good segue into the memes. Because so much of these, with Preminger Bibble, so much of these movies are like comedy and the meme worthy moments. And what we remember are those. So let's go through the memes. First, we talked about Preminger. Trevor, tell our listeners who Preminger is.
Preminger is like in Barbie Princess and the Pauper. He's like this noble who it's a scheme to try to marry the princess in order to basically get into power and become the king. And, and then when that fails and like he tries to kidnap the princess and all that goes awry, he instead decides to in like a little heel turn to marry the mother instead. So I just love that. And oh, he's such a fantastic character.
And it should be mentioned that Preminger was played by Martin Short, which there's a lot of famous people in these movies. I compiled a small list. I'm sure this is incomplete, but Tim Curry was in The Nutcracker and The Three Musketeers. Angelica Houston was Gothel and Rapunzel. Kelsey Grammer was in Swan Lake. Maggie Wheeler, aka Janice from Friends, was in Swan Lake. And of course, she did her iconic annoying laugh. Catherine O'Hara was in 12 Dancing Princesses as Rowena. Andrea Martin was an Island Princess. And then now you've got Martin Short in Princess and the Pauper. And so you've got his like high pitched, comedic, flamboyant voice. And of course, we get to hear him sing.
his song, especially the one in the mine, it's just so iconic.
It's so good. I think that it's the one how can I refuse? It's what I remember, I think, the most in that movie.
Yeah, definitely.
I've been bowing,
Oh,
I've been scraping,
Preminger
I've
so
been lying
memorable.
like
He
a
was just so
rug,
great.
and for 10 long years
I'll
I
have
had
the
to pay
mother
my
instead.
dues. But today,
Exactly. And then what are the names of like his
gold
two
has been dug.
sidekicks?
It was waiting there, so
I
did I
remember one was
refuse?
blonde. They're both
I'm
dumb
returning
though.
home a hero.
Yeah, I think they're like Nick and Neck? Or like
Nick and
Nick
Neck,
and something else that rhymes with ick?
Stick.
Nick and Stick. And it certainly is interesting how I feel like Princess and the Pauper is one of the more remembered, more successful movies. And that has the benefit of both like being a musical, because with the musical, people are like going back to it, people remember it, they're singing it, and kind of compare it to the Disney movies more than the non-musical ones. And then, of course, they have like Preminger.
It's such a I really enjoyed that movie, especially because the comedic bits, and I didn't really realize like how, I guess, like it stands out as being musical, because the other ones, I guess, aren't musical. It just like all kind of melds in my mind.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And then we got to go to the next guy you mentioned, Bibble.
Oh, the best boy.
Tell our listeners about Bibble.
Bibble, I don't think they ever explained what he is. He's just this little blue furry fairy dude with like hot pink hair. He's like this little like fairy gremlin thing that's like the main character's pet.
Yeah, I think so. Pet slash best friend.
Yeah, something like that. I don't remember him in the first movie, but I guess like she just found him somewhere. But he's like her companion. He speaks gibberish, and then like, except for this one time when they go into a cave filled with fruits, and he just starts eating them one at a time and starts singing in different voices, different styles. It's great.
Oh my god, that scene, that literally unlocked a memory, because there's like the fruit. The first one he eats, he starts yodeling, and then the second one he eats, he starts singing opera, and then the third one he eats, he is like, he's speaking English, but he's speaking in a really low, sexy voice. And Barbie and the friend she's with are like, ooh, Bibble, and are like suddenly attracted to it. It's like, ew.
Delicious.
Bibble?
Well, hello, Barry. Don't you look lovely today? And you, aren't you the most luscious thing a branch ever saw?
Maybe Bibble was attractive all along.
Maybe. Well, in Fairytopia Magic of the Rainbow, he gets a girlfriend.
What?
He meets, her name is Dizzle.
Okay.
She's also a puffball, but she's like pink and she has like purple, like a purple ponytail. And they both speak gibberish together and like eat dessert all the time.
That's wonderful. I'm so happy for my man Bibble. I like that. Since she speaks gibberish too, that means like, does that mean that like foreigners then from a different place from like a Bibble society?
Yeah, like there must be like a puffball language.
So is that Bibble just like a tourist then, or is he like an immigrant?
That's And because also maybe it's like, okay, now this is what I'm picturing. I'm picturing it like Wookiees, where Bibble basically is Chewbacca, and he somehow found his way into human society, but like there is a puffball land in the way there's a Wookiee planet.
Yeah. I think I'd like my headcanon to be that Bibble was in the Fairytopia because he's seeking political asylum.
Well, that goes in with my theory that Bibble's a defected World War I soldier.
Oh my god, it all lines up.
It all lines up. For the listeners not in on this joke, last year we would have PowerPoint nights where we would like present hot takes to each other. And one of my hot takes was that Bibble was a defected World War I soldier. And this mainly came from the idea that his head was like spiky, as if it had just shaved. But also, the villain in the Fairytopia movies basically engages with chemical warfare, which is quite dark for a kid's movie. But that wasn't outlawed until the Geneva Convention after World War I. So that was my hot take. And of course, if he was singing opera in Mermaidia, then he has to be from this universe. Or else, how would he know Puccini's La Boheme?
That's true. Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm. So you did not mention the weasel in Rapunzel, but it sounds like you didn't watch Rapunzel.
I did not.
Have you seen the videos? Like, the character Gothel had this, like, you know, like in the medieval times, the women would wear, like, the dead weasels on their neck?
Yeah.
So Gothel had an alive weasel she wore. And he also spoke. And there's this YouTube clip. I'm sure we can insert it here. Where basically he's like...
Give him to me!
And that is a meme in itself.
Wait, so does he speak like the plant from what's it called? The plant musical.
The plant musical? Oh, like Little Shop of Horrors?
Yeah, that one.
No, he speaks like a regular animal. He speaks like let me think of another animal in a Barbie movie you've watched. He speaks, well, not Bibble. He speaks. Yeah, he speaks just like the cats do.
Okay.
Yeah. So, do you think we rewatched them? We rewatched Mermaidia, right? That other day.
I think we watched Fairytopia 1 and Princess and the Pauper.
That's right. Yes. Do you think that watching them back, do you think that they're exactly as we remember, or better or worse?
Let's see. I remember. I feel like rewatching them, I appreciate a lot of the comedy more, but like the animation definitely looks a bit weirder, and some of the background characters and how they just act in general is just less realistic to me, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. There are moments of cursed animation. There are worse animated movies out there from that time.
Definitely.
But certainly you look at the like goblin from Mermaidia and you're like, ew.
I think part of that though is also just because we've grown up so much, and so is like the technology for animations. Like we're a little spoiled, I guess, by how cool everything looks nowadays.
Yeah, very true. I feel like Pixar has purposefully gone backwards in their animation. Like, it got to a point where Disney and Pixar could like animate a person so realistically that now with Luca and Soul, they almost chose to exaggerate certain human features just to make it feel like a cartoon and not like a creepy live action thing like Polar Express.
Oh yeah, what's that saying? It's like when something looks like too realistic, but there's always something off.
Oh, the Uncanny Valley.
Yeah, that.
Yeah. Definitely. I certainly like and I think that's one of the reasons I like Barbie movies so much is with my media. I do like a sense of separation. Yeah. Other than reality TV, which is reality TV, but so which would you say? Go ahead.
Just like thinking back to the Bachelorette, or the one episode I saw, that was
Was that
it
the
was-
one with Victoria leaving?
I think it was the one that we had a fantasy Bachelorette thing on, and we just like basically saw all of them come in and all the meeting. It was just very, very odd.
Yeah. It's a funny show. So, which of the Barbie movies was your favorite?
I think definitely Mermaidia, but I also haven't seen it since I was a kid, so there's a bit of that nostalgia left in it.
Like a ethereal, preserved in timeness.
Yeah.
What about it did you like?
Well, I guess as mentioned before, the Bibble. I love Bibble. He's my Bibble. Let's see. I don't know. I really like the premise of like also just the narrative, like clock ticking, because with all the little pearls on the wristband or whatever. And then of course the henchmen and the villain were very funny to watch. Just the token man dude, just having them go in circles for a long time. That was funny.
So, we're at our next segment of the show. This is called
Convince Chad.
Gosh.
Imagine this, Trevor. You're walking through the halls of BU's business school, and behind you is this frat bro wearing basketball shorts, and you overhear him talking to his buddy saying, Barbie movies are so freaking dumb, bro. Like, what's the point? You are enraged. How dare he? You turn around and you say, wait up. You mad stupid, bro. And now, in Chad's own language, you must convince him why Barbie movies are amazing and why he should watch them.
Convince Chad.
Oh shit! I don't know how to talk like that. I guess like yo, bro, you're dead wrong. You gotta watch them yourself. It's you're being, what's it called? Being biased. You've been taught that Barbie is super girly and stuff, but these movies are removed from that. It's hella dope, bro. Sif. I don't know how to describe this in like troglodyte.
Troglodyte? I've never heard that word, but I love it.
I don't know. It's not just like high school shit, like cheerleading and whatnot. It's actual like narrative stories, and there's a funny little Bibble dude. You gotta check him out.
I think that's pretty convincing to me, bro. Well, Trevor, I've loved having you on the show. This has been a really fun conversation. And tune in next time to A Bro's Guide to Glitter.